who can't participate. I know that a couple of people are at some other events today.
Okay, sounds
Yeah, I'd like
good.
a copy regardless, Dan, so we
Yeah.
can put it in
Yeah,
the library. Yeah,
no,
send
I
it there.
think this will be good. I'm very excited to do it because Charles has pointed out to me several areas that are underutilized, and maybe people weren't aware that we have this capability that we do. So sometimes you get so busy in the day to day that you don't even, realize that you've got this opportunity in front of you to make use of. So for those that can join today, great. If not, we can send it out and say, hey, lots of great information here, lots of learnings. Because our goal here at Amplify is to get people to maximize the value that's delivered out of the platform. And Charles is always looking at that and always offering suggestions and best practices. So today we'll try to capture some of those so that people can take full advantage of them. If nothing else, you'll be aware. And, I would add that I'd be happy to do a one-on-one session with any client, sit down, walk you through these capabilities, answer any questions, uh, train, convert, whatever is required to get you that optimal benefit. So, with that, I'm going to give control over to Charles, and we're going to start out by looking at the inbox. And I would uh, mention that I'm guilty, as are other folks that make use of Link Concierge, of going back into my LinkedIn mailbox and just communicating from that location. And there's a number of different reasons why that sort of nullifies some of the opportunity available within Concierge. And we're going to show you those. We're also going to show you some of the AI capabilities that allow you to sort that box such that, you have things prioritized in a logical fashion. So, Charles, let me turn the reins over to you. You should be able to share your screen if you want to start out in the
Yeah,
mailbox.
let's do
If
that.
you'd
That
like
sounds
mine,
good.
I can grab mine as well.
Yeah, I think we'll switch over for another segment of the video. We can switch over to yours, but for now, I can share mine. Um, I want to just start with the going to your point there with the inbox. It's really important to take a note. Can you see my screen? I just want clarity on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Okay,
got.
perfect. Yeah, so I just want to point that out again and how important it is. It's so tempting to use your. I'm guilty of it too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do 99% of my task in inbox situations via the Concierge app, but mostly you're gonna if you're just using the LinkedIn app, you're gonna definitely miss some leads, or you're 100% gonna miss follow-ups. So I can't stress it enough to use. And again, I know it's so easy when you finish work and you're having dinner and you might get a notification. Sometimes I'll still reply to those via LinkedIn app, but it's rare that I do it anymore just because of the system we have in place here. So just for instance, a couple things to note, and I've activated every one of your clients, Dan, on so they would have the AI labels. And I'll go to my inbox really quick
But it
here.
got that capability set within their base offering. There's nothing else required to get access to that. So I'm glad you mentioned it.
Exactly. So, and in this case, we're talking about these little AI tags. So you can quickly reference, which, this is not happening in your LinkedIn app, but that's another reason to use the system. So as you can see, not interested, not interested, neutral, maybe starting the conversation off here, not interested, interested. So you can kind of just go down the line here really quick, a snapshot of what's
Yeah.
happening for today. And I've activated all of these on your clients. So everyone should see these. If they don't see them, please reach out to Dan. He'll contact me. We'll get it figured out. Or you could just do it yourself. In most cases, I can show you that right now. You just go up here and you want to go to your workspace settings. Click that. Go go down to auto label, and then you would toggle this on. This will give you all the auto labels that are sort of default pre-generated auto labels. You can do customs as well, make your own. But I'll just jump back to the inbox here too. Let's say in the sequence, let's say Steven here. Let's say in the sequence, Steven is, he is looking, he doesn't reply to my first couple messages. So he doesn't reply, he doesn't reply, he doesn't reply. And you can see that there. Here. So he doesn't reply. Finally, he replies and the sequence stops. He said, "We don't do it." Okay, no problem. He doesn't do it. So we're stopping the sequence here. But had he still not responded, later in the sequence, I have an email enrichment feature. So, and I'll show you that in a minute. But essentially, if I did get in the sequence where I sent him an email, it would show up here in emails. And it hasn't showed up because he responded. It didn't get to that point. So just another quick way from the inbox, look at some tags, really quick snapshot of the day. Let's say it was just on LinkedIn, it will be here. If it was in the sequence and it hit email at any point, it's going to be here. Quickly just respond. So you don't have to jump into your email apps and your LinkedIn apps and your text
Yeah, you just
message.
scan and see which ones need attention. I always do
Exactly.
that first
So
of the day, see if there's anybody who's an interested opportunity. Or, honestly, sometimes people, want to be taken off the mail list. And I think it's important to respond to them as well, and say, we've taken you off the list. Hope we haven't created any issues or problems, just to diffuse that situation, either positive or negative.
absolutely. And thanks for mentioning that. And so just to kind of wrap up this part of the video, so also this is the text message here. So, you have the built-in text message feature. So you could always respond, via text if it got to that point in the sequence. Say you dropped a text message and it got to that point, and we'll jump into that in a second.
Okay.
And yeah, am I missing anything here? Oh, also you can add notes on the client. If you have some internal stuff, the prospect is interested, but he wants me to follow up. He's testing X, Y, and Z. Any type of internal notes, always good to put in there on Steven here in this case. One more thing too. Let's say let's say he got a tag that says, you got a tag that says follow up later. Okay, no problem. Follow up later. So in this case, I can sit here, let's say I can go here and say he wants to follow up in Q3 or Q4. I could come in and say, "Hey, here we go." I could come in here and customize a message for him. I can hit this little clock here, take a click there, and I could schedule it out for the third or fourth quarter if I wanted. If that's what we agreed to. Um, I would simply click a date that I want to reach out to him. It's generated here, and then you would put the time. So let's just say 11 a.m. Perfect. And you would click schedule. And then you're going to see that here in your system. Now, of course, I'm not going to send this to him, so I'll just exit that. But so this will execute if I don't exit. It's going to execute on the 12th of November at 11 a.m. So that's just something that is undervalued. A lot of people don't use that, but I'm never going to, I mean, even if it was any of these clients that said, or potential clients that says, "Hey, follow up with me in another time. I'm not ready yet," etc. I'm never going to remember because there's so many leads coming in every day. I'm never going to remember to contact him, in the third or fourth quarter. So if I go ahead, I know he's there. I can go ahead and pre-generate a message, even if it says, "Hey, hello, I'm just touching base with you," and then I schedule it. That way, when the third, fourth quarter comes, it's going to pop right back up here. And then, we can take the conversation from there. So, am I missing anything, Dan, off the top?
Is the inbox where you would, based upon the response, label the contact as a lead? Or is there a better place to put that categorization on somebody who responds?
Yeah, I always do it from here. So, and that's a good segment too. I'll just go ahead and give a little quick brief about this. It's important if they are indeed a lead, it's important to mark them a lead. So I'll just hypothetically, I can always take that out later, but so I marked him as a lead, no problem. This is for a campaign, and I'll go to my campaigns here. I'll expand all. I want to see a little bit more detailed numbers. Let's say this New York campaign that I'm running. Decision makers, smaller group, acceptance rate 26%, reply rate 17%. Why do I want to mark people as a lead? Because not only can I follow up with them later, early, and let's say half the year goes by and I just forget or etc. I can go here and say, oh, what did this campaign, it was doing pretty well. Let me click on the leads here, and I can click on the leads. Here's just three leads. Um, what I can do from here is I can select all the leads. I can start a new campaign that's just targeting leads that I've already talked to, which is pretty valuable if you think about it. You can, in one campaign, and even if they reply or don't reply, at least at one time they were interested and they didn't give you a hard no or a hard yes. So, and you can just change campaigns. You can do a lot. You can remove them if they're, you have some internal dialogue with them and they say they're not interested. So you can do a lot with this, and I would say that's the largest use case is transitioning, these leads into a new campaign with a new sequence. The sequence may be simple. It may be, hey, are you still into, you can do it at scale. So that's important. Dan, do you have anything?
No, that also comes into
Okay.
your reporting stream, so it's good to have. I'm trying to be more disciplined with that, just so that I can track, tag, and take action.
I have a quick question, Charles. If it's going to
Oh,
take you
sure.
off a tangent, we'll table it and we'll talk about it later. Going
Okay.
back to the scheduled activity in the future, where you're going to not bother them for a couple of months. Is that
Okay, sure.
activity tied to that individual independent of any campaigns that you're running? In other words, if I paused out of respect for their request to, I'm not interested right now, but somehow they made it into a subsequent campaign, will it delete that scheduled activity or will it always be queued up until I manually remove it?
Well, that's a good question.
Good question. So if you don't remove it, it's going to execute.
Okay.
So yeah, if you
It's tied to the individual independent of any campaigns or sequence of events that's associated with them elsewhere.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect.
So even if you exclude all the campaigns,
Yeah.
let's just say you stop doing concierge, if it's still, if your account's still active, it's
Yeah.
gonna execute.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Got it.
Another thing I'll jump to really quick too, it's pretty important, is it's always important to go to your reports section and just I mean, some people use this religiously, some people don't. And again, there's glitches sometimes we can't help, but in most cases, it works pretty well. So you can filter your campaigns here. Let's say I got the New York campaign, for instance. Let's filter that one. Um, I can just quickly look, okay, this looks like a real humans behind here. This looks good. I'm hitting some good dailies there. I can also go all the way down and I can say, what is it actually doing? So I can pinpoint exactly what my campaign's doing. I would say probably 90% of the time, if your campaign is not doing something, if it's just all zeros, all zeros, all zeros, all the way around the board, it's mostly user error. So it's 90% of the time. So
Yeah.
if you do, or if you're experiencing all the zeros and it's just your campaign's not doing anything, reach out to Dan, and then we can, he can help you, or I'm sure Rick more than happy to help you. because it's most of the time it's user error in that case.
Yeah,
But
there's a bottleneck campaign somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And it could be even that too. If you have so many campaigns running, I've seen this happen before. There's tons of campaign running. Well, you might only have a couple, like for instance here, I'll just show you. You may only have let's say this might only go up like instead of 78, 79, even 90%, this may only go up like 1% a day, 1% a day, 1% a day. Because I'm running a lot of different campaigns, etc. So that's a good thing to note as well.
Hey, Charles, this would be a good transition point for me to mention how to maximize what I'm doing in terms of volume and channel. I've had several clients, ask about, there's limitations on how many connections, there's limitations on messaging. But what I have at least learned from you and Luke across time is, hey, let's set up different campaigns utilizing different channels so that you can hit each one of those at a maximum rate. And back to the report that you were showing, you can see each channel down there as it pertains to the campaigns you're running. So, for instance, there's a limitation on LinkedIn messages that we can send in a day. There's a limitation on how many emails you can send in a month. We want to max those out in your settings, as is reflected here. So think of each one of those as an individual channel that potentially has its own campaign, maybe to different people, maybe to the same people. You can consolidate SMS into an email campaign or SMS into a messaging campaign. But if you do them individually, you can get the maximum throughput in a day. And by utilizing this report that Charles just showed us, you can see how each channel is performing. Now, I did notice that we need to have an SMS bucket there, Charles. We don't really have that as a column that we're tracking on. You have to kind of go into your campaign. All the more
Right.
we have SMS as a standalone campaign structure, at least in my opinion, because that way you have clean metrics coming through as far as how many were sent, delivered, how many could not be delivered. SMS has a high fail rate because it is dependent on a good phone number.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, you know, people will change numbers, or maybe it's an expired number, and maybe they don't monitor it. Maybe, in fact, it could be a home number, which they don't accept in, the normal text message. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's something that could be pretty valuable. I would say too, and just to kind of piggyback on your note there, when you go to your limits in your account, I always keep this on. I know a lot of clients, they don't want to keep this on, but at the end of the day, if it's indeed a hardworking person just trying to really maximize potential, outreach, I always keep this on running on the weekends.
Look at you.
So
Yeah.
I recommend it. I mean, you don't have to do it. I know some people who don't just refuse to use it, no problem. But it just an extra 2 days of outreach never hurt anyone. And it's essentially it's only going to benefit you in the long run. Another thing is to use connection booster. I toggle this on too. And as you can see, if so I'm at like 40 to 60 here roughly, but if I toggle this off, oh, there we go. Um, I can toggle this off, and as you can see, this is kind of the standard. I'm pretty tapped out here. But if I toggle it back on, I have a lot more breathing room. I can actually utilize it even a little bit
Right.
more if I needed to. So
How
just
about
something to
email?
note.
Is there a limit there, or can you boost that limit above sort of the standard threshold of in-mails?
Oh, in the email, let's see here. Boom. Um, Yeah, it does boost. I don't use that just because I mostly rely on, well, so a lot of my campaigns rather, I'm using message. But it's not going to, it's not going to kill the campaign or anything. I don't use it,
Okay.
but it's something to maximize if you want to go that route. And
A lot of
also
our
too,
customers are trying to get sort of the maximum outreach happening. So, this is a good thing to be aware of. Something I
yeah,
want to mention on the weekend runs, I didn't used to send on the weekends, and you told me, you thought it was a good idea, so we switched it over. And surprisingly, weekends are when people, like Rick, have more time to look at, what's happening and respond. And, it's a little bit more leisure type environment on the weekend than it is during the work week.
Yeah, that's what I've found even outside of the platform. Before I started using the platform, for whatever reason, my connections tend to be more active on Sunday evenings as a ramp up for the week. Look
Yep.
and see if anybody's reached out to them, and they kind of queue that up for their to-dos during the week. So I've
Yeah.
seen Sunday night to be a very active couple of hours on LinkedIn for whatever reason.
Right. Okay.
yeah, it's a good practice for sure. I mean, if you have any clients that, you know, want to maximize the outreach, definitely have it working on the weekends and that's really another valuable thing that just think about that. It's like, in the whole week you have 2 extra days to outreach. So
Yeah. So maximize with weekends, hit your boosts. And the thing that I have been trialing and it's working well is putting my campaigns into channel-based approaches. So rather than mixing and matching a campaign across different channels on different days, I max out the limit that can go for each channel. That way I'm getting, sort of top of the line volume through each mechanism. So if you're focused on volume, that's something to consider.
let's see. I talked a little bit about what I needed to there. Dan, would you mind? Can we jump into maybe one of your campaigns and we can kind of discuss on um, sending text messages and things like that?
Yeah, we wanted to show everybody how you can auto reply to texts. If you think about, a great opportunity is to, when you have somebody in your campaign and they have something to say on LinkedIn, you want to be aware of it. So let me share one of my campaigns and show how the AI bot tracks and knows um, when somebody is posting out there so that you can take action. One second here. Okay, I have to go through a two-step process to share my screen. Sorry. Let's see. Should be up now. Go. And you should see my campaigns. If you don't, but let me go into the breakdown on uh, one of my campaigns where I'm tracking uh, the actual post activity. Show you how we do that. And also, as far as making use of this function, it's very straightforward. Post tracking, goes as a step. Oops, what happened to my campaign? Okay. So if you have any message out there, you can activate post tracking by clicking on AI message. Okay. And AI is going to suggest, what you do as far as going forward. Okay. Within the post. So you also have the ability to make that optional. Let me get a better example here for you. Within the post, you will have the ability to turn on AI, and we can send out directions on this for anybody that would like to see it. But within that AI comment, let me just drop down a box here and open it up. Within that AI comment, you can request that you have approval before it goes out. That way, if you have any circumstance where maybe the AI draft is a little bit too verbose, so you can see an example up here. Allison posted, the AI bot was aware that she posted, drafted a response back to Allison on your behalf, but then it's waiting in a queue for you to approve. So what the post says is exciting times, can't wait to see what you've got in store for us. Fairly innocuous, maybe not too bad. Maybe you shave the edges off that or condense it, or maybe something more personalized that you can add to the post. But anytime you get a post, you're getting more activity within LinkedIn, and that is upping your own personal algorithm. So liking posts is something that should be, fundamental to you trying to uh, cultivate your LinkedIn presence. And a lot of people, just sort of shudder at AI drafting something because it can be robotic. But you can sidestep that as an issue by just putting an approval on that. And in order to approve it, it would just be in your let's see, which box is it in, Charles? It will be in
A task.
tasks, and the task would be approve uh, approve posts. Okay, so that's a very valuable
Can you
feature.
show that? Do you mind showing that? Just so everyone's aware of where that is.
If I can get my system to return. So let's see, then my prospects,
Yeah.
it's actions, right? Well, you have to first of all filter. Okay, so we want to look at maybe these two campaigns.
Well, if you go to my dashboard or your dashboard rather, it
Oh,
you could
yeah, that is a
get
shortcut.
it could be a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, my task is right there.
Mhm.
So you can see I've got from January 17th some posts that are out there for other people that are waiting for me to get in there and edit. Now, here's one. It's a good example. It's way too much um, as far as my response. So I would cut this down and send it out in a much more condensed way. When I do that, I need to edit it. So let's say I just wanted one sentence. And I wanted to just go with that. Now I hit save and complete, and that post will go out. So a lot of people aren't aware of this feature. Wanted to walk you through it again. Let us know if we can help you set up yours. I have found that this is a step that you want to put out there potentially multiple times within a campaign because it is time-based. So it's not looking at posts across a universe of time. It's looking at it during the step within the time frame that it's in. So not to get into the weeds with it, but let us know if we can optimize your campaign as far as following those posts and putting out as many comments as you can, because it's a great way to bump up your own visibility within LinkedIn as it pertains to the algorithm. And also, people are going to respond when you respond. So it's a bit of a, compliment to the writer of the post. So it's opening up that communication process with that person. So anyhow,
And
that's
just to circle, yeah, and just to circle back around, Dan, as you can see that in this case with Andy, you just approved that post via the taskbar, or excuse me, dashboard, then my task. But
Mhm.
if you look at it, you can toggle in between. This is gonna go and translate into your inbox as well. So you can go and toggle, um, you know, between your inbox. Again, you see the same settings up there at the top. Yeah. And also, so that's just if you are approving, you can also check and see where you're at in the process of the conversation. Have they even commented on anything? Was it email? Was it LinkedIn? You can go from just my task and do that as well. So just wanted to throw that out there.
it's a good capability that a lot of people don't take advantage of. So hopefully we
Mhm.
can just get you to look into it, and maybe Rick and I can help you set it up.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. As far as on the agenda here, we've covered uh, auto commenting on posts. I think our next topic that we want to bring folks up to speed on is how to set up SMS outreach. I know a lot of people have not tapped into this capability. Um, and it might be for lack of being comfortable with the setup. So maybe Charles, you can take us through just what's involved in an SMS setup. There is some phone push integration that's required as part of the setup. I think there's also a disclosure. Maybe you could quickly run us through that so people can say, okay, it's not that involved.
Yeah. Let's just hold on one second. Let me get it started. I can go into one second.
Or I can go back into mine if that's easier. Whatever works.
Actually, maybe because I know there's a couple products and we're testing. I can show I can show the text message feature, and then if you wanna, then you can take back over. Just because I know I have some products and we're testing with some new AI features,
Let me show
but
my SMS only campaign.
oh, okay.
Just started to run this week. You can see within the campaign, I've gotten through to 87 people through text. Text
Oh,
is,
and which, by the way, that's going to be in your reflect also in your reports.
will it? Which bucket
Mhm.
does it go into? Because it's in every
So
bucket.
oh, you're right. It doesn't do. You're right. My apologies. Yeah, we
You
don't.
can have
There's
it
no
all.
bucket for that one. Yeah, never
You can
mind.
have but here's the sequence. Um, you know, it's sort of a best practice to make sure that you've got a phone number before you try to send a text. That one's not going to require too much brain power. And then if they don't have a text number, let's just shoot them an email. At least we're getting out there to them. And when you set up a text,
And
you,
just for clarity, not to cut you off there, Dan, but just so the viewers know that this is a first connection campaign. This isn't in
good
in
point.
in a lot of cases you wouldn't just do this for a new campaign trying to meet new leads. This is a first connection. You're already connected. Maybe you've been connected a day, maybe 10 years, but you're connected to the person via LinkedIn and you're just going to reconnect with them if they have a phone number.
Yeah, dude, it's a really good point. Don't trash yourself by texting somebody who's a second level or worse.
Yeah.
You need to reserve this for first levels. Good point. The
Yeah, and
other
it wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even work. It would just go in the query. It wouldn't do anything.
And what I was going to mention is, when you do a text, obviously it's not an email. Don't get into writing too much in the way of detail. You can see in mine, I tell them who I am or reintroduce myself, texting to let you know about this offer. check the details. So you want them to go somewhere from your text. There has to be a subsequent course of action that they can click on. So,
And let me mention this too, Dan, that if you're, if you're going to implement a text message only campaign, it's to an enriched number, which is totally fine. No big deal there. But in your sequence, you may want to enrich their profile, because just because you're a first connection degree with them, say you've known them 10 years, it doesn't mean that you have the ability, you have their phone number already. Sometimes, in some cases, if they didn't come from another campaign that you enriched, it probably wouldn't work.
right, right. Okay. So ideally,
Yeah,
this team should have enrich the profile. Make sure that you've, after enriching, do in fact get a phone number, then go out to SMS.
yeah, I'm gonna let me just correct that really quick. Um, if you want to delete that, exit that, yeah, and then just separate, because you want to do it after the lead source. So separate that a little, yeah, and then push that down so you have room. Perfect. And then I would put it in the middle, because you want to enrich that client, or that first degree connection first. That way, we have that data to draft off of. There we go. And then, yeah, connect those two and you'll be in.
Let's see here. How do I drag that connection, Charles?
Oh, you would just click on you would click on in the enrich profile, the bottom circle there. Yeah, the bottom circle. And then you would just drag it. Yeah. Well, click it first. Click
I
the circle and then drag. It should
okay. I am not the master of workflow setups.
just go hover over the circle there. It's okay. Yeah, there, perfect. And now just there, see it, just keep it. Yeah, perfecto.
All right.
Okay.
I just made an improvement within my campaign.
Yeah. So now you're gonna essentially, what's gonna happen here is you have the lead source, let's say their first connection. In this case, you said they were, and then we're gonna enrich the profile. If we can go back there really quick.
Yeah, because I have a question now that I've made an update.
You can rerun it. It's not gonna hurt anything, but yeah. Um, move prospects. Yeah, you can just click rerun. And by the way, if you were in Dan's case and you had to rerun some prospects, they're not going to, receive double messages or anything like that. No duplicates. So it's just for in his case, if he didn't have a enrichment fee and number on there or something, for whatever reason, maybe the target audience wasn't in his previous campaigns, so he knew them from 10 years ago, let's say. um, this is going to enrich their profile. Had they been in another campaign that he already enriched, because he moved prospects, then that would translate to a positive outcome as far as having that phone number. But always best practice is to enrich the profile if you're going to run a campaign like this.
That's great. That was
Yeah.
super helpful. I'm sure most of our clients are not fully aware of that. So once again, if Rick and or I can help you set that up, we're here and available. Definitely want you to take full advantage of using that channel along with the others. All right. So I think that takes care of SMS. And I think what we wanted to talk about next
The
was,
video.
yeah.
Yeah, the video. If you can go back to your campaign, the one that you were just in.
It's interesting. My instance went away. Huh. Okay, hang on one second. Take me 2 steps here. All right, can you see my screen at this point, or am I still black?
It looks like it's just a black box. There's nothing.
Apologize.
There's nothing computing there. Let me see.
It'll come up now. Like I said, it's a 2-step process. So hopefully it's reflecting now. Not seeing it? Try one more time. We'll have to edit this so that people don't have to suffer through my process here. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is probably not the best campaign. One with a messaging would probably be better, Charles. Let me
But
correct.
it doesn't. It wouldn't matter. You could still demonstrate what you were trying to explain. But if you already have something cooking, sure. Let's see it in
Well,
action. But
I do believe that you have to be sending a message to make use of doing a
yeah,
video. So I don't think it will go with a text or some other email communication. So within your email, or within your message rather, beg your pardon, there's a video button in the lower tray. And you click on that to add the video to the email. So the email is going to introduce the video that is attached. Okay, so it took me a while to realize that you can't just send out, hey, check out my video. You probably want to give a little bit of, pre-sale type introduction to what the video says. Then within the video itself, the
click on
platform
add. Yep.
platform allows you to record in advance, different types of videos, or, let's just create one, you can basically name it. And what you'll find is here's how you're represented. When I send a video email to Rick Flack, it's going to be Rick Flack's uh, profile within LinkedIn, and it's going to be me in the bubble saying, "Hey, Rick, it was great to talk today. I'm going to follow up with you on the information I'd mentioned. Look forward to talking the next time." Okay, so just a little added sort of special sauce. It's going to get you more opens. It's going to get you more uh, uh, interaction with your prospect, and it's going to differentiate you from, the 100 other in-mails or uh, LinkedIn messages that they might receive. Charles, did I miss anything there? I'm condensing it a little bit in the interest of time, but it's pretty
No.
straightforward. The
Yeah.
thing you have to realize is it's part of a message. It's not a channel in and of it itself. It's part of
Right.
your messaging process.
Yeah.
And
So in other words, we're not just throwing like we're not just dragging and dropping a video. It's more about integrating some dialogue with the video.
right. And I want to look at something. Yeah, you can also attach a video to an email. So I
Yeah.
misspoke when I said a message was required. A message or an email can contain the video message as an attachment. It's effectively an attachment.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And I think we already covered the volume aspect
Mhm.
by opening up different channels such that you're not just maxing out one channel while other channels are not being utilized. The concept is have something going that's channel specific at all times if you're trying to maximize the throughput coming out of the system. But that's just a restatement of something we covered before. Charles, Rick, any other sort of ideas or best practices that we might have missed?
If you're gonna send an email, or excuse me, if you're gonna send a text message alone, or like I'll go back to Dan's text message campaign. It's always good to, you know, state who you are, even if because they may not, they're just gonna see a random text number on just on their phone pop up. So it's always good to not assume they know you already. Again, because it'll come from your local built-in number. They're not going to know the number, even if they know you, which in most cases they don't even know who you are because you're reaching out to them for a reason, prospect-wise. But in Dan's case, since they are first level here, first degree connections, then they probably know him or recognize him. But yeah, hey, this is Dan from Amplify, and then I even say I try to reach out to you multiple times on LinkedIn because having that, even if you don't send a link, I don't usually put a link. I usually say, hey, I reached out to you on LinkedIn. And most of the time, if they see a text like that, they're going to say, okay, Dan from LinkedIn. Let me go check my LinkedIn
Yeah,
just as a quick
definitely
reference.
say who you are. I would
Mhm.
definitely not, in my own personal case, I would not text somebody that was not a first level contact of mine. And I don't want them to have to go research if they just go, yeah, I am interested in that. I want them to be able to toggle right over to my website and find, what I'm talking about in more detail. So that's the use case that I'm comfortable with. Different folks are doing different things. We've got customers that are doing newsletters and video production that want to invite people, right in advance of the session starting, or maybe the newsletter is out. Good examples of use cases where you can attach, join the video, it's starting in 30 minutes, read the newsletter, here's the link. Um, you know, there should be a call to action as far as someplace you can click and go from the text. If you think about a mobile experience, try to make it congruent, that you can go step by step.
Yeah, and if you're having, a super targeted campaign, you can always drag and drop a manual task. It's not used a lot. I mean, probably for good reason. A lot of this is automation, which that's the whole point. But um, yeah, I don't know if you see on the right-hand side, if you can exit that box, it'll say manual task there. Right down on the right. Yep, perfect.
What are options for
You,
manual tasks?
yeah, you can drag and drop it. As you can see from there, this is kind of internal. It reminds you to maybe make a phone call, maybe for some reason that you want an alert for something. Also, if I do see it, I see it for Teams. So if you click Dan right there, you might see whoever's in his workspace. So in this case, Rick.
Okay, so
Yeah, and you can say, hey, Rick, do you mind seeing what's going on with this prospect? Or, it could be anything like that.
okay, just a message basically.
Yeah, just to kind of a reminder. Or hey, could you call it could be it's mostly for internal, of course, but it's just something that, if you have a large team, you might want to utilize
I could
in the
see,
future.
you had a virtual agent following up on your things, which I
Yeah.
do. You could basically have the virtual agent be alerted, hey, be sure that we reply to this within this time frame, or send this document. Something you might do with an assistant would be a good example.
Yep, exactly. And then that'll show up in Rick's task or your assistant's task or whoever you assign it to within your in your world of business or your network there that works for you.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, let's wrap up. I think
Yeah.
this has been a super 60 minutes. I'm going to
Mhm.
clean up the transcription and video associated with this and send it out to all of our clients. Feel free to reach out to Rick or myself, and we'll be happy to fill in the gaps or set you up with SMS, with post tracking, with video email. Lots of power within this platform. And it's really, I said it to Rick this morning. I'm like, these people leave the Ferrari in the garage. You got to get it out. And
Yeah.
you got to exercise it. You got to punch it, when you can punch it. So let us help you. We want you to get the maximum benefit out of the solution. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up on that note. We appreciate all of our clients. We appreciate you, Charles, for walking us through in detail. And we look forward to following this video, if you weren't here live, with a live session where we can help you with some of these best practices. All right. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan. My pleasure. Talk soon. We'll talk tomorrow, I believe.
Talk to you then.